Thank you so much for coming.
As you enter, please feel free to put your name and organization in the chat. We'd love to see who's joining us and where you all are coming from.
Clarence, I'm so happy you could make it. Hi, Elsa, welcome.
Hi there.
It's 6:05, so I'm going to kick us off. Hi, Clarence. And we will probably have people joining us for the next few minutes. Welcome, everyone. My name is Amanda Storth, and I am the president of the Mass AUIC Governing Board. I'm so excited to welcome you here tonight, along with Ryan from Jumpstart and Jumpstart Coalition. We are here tonight to hear the voices of some lovely educators, Jared Rose, Kavisha Robinson Clark, Anna Rivas, Amparo Osario. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak. One of the things that we really want to highlight tonight is how our experiences as educators in the field right now really are driving the Common Start and really what can be found in the Common Start educators. And that is a little bit what you'll hear tonight from our speakers and then later from Ryan himself. Just a quick highlight for you. We had some really major victories for early childhood education in the last legislative session. And part of that was really the warm reception we saw for the Common Start vision from the Senate, who passed our bill unanimously. We also saw that there was a very large down payment on the Common Start vision in the fiscal year 23 budget. That is and was fantastic, but not something we want to settle with, because we really, really want to see a big part of this vision in this session put into legislative language, that and we won't have to keep going back explaining why we need renewals for C3 grants, among other things. So without further ado, I am going to kick it off by introducing Jared Rose from Mass AUIC so that he can share a little bit about himself and his journey as an educator.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jared Rose. I'm a pre-K teacher, a dad. I'm the co-chair of Macy's Public Policy Committee and a member of the Common Start Steering Committee. The story of how I became a teacher is long and complicated, but I feel lucky because every day I get to go to work and with 5-year-olds learning to read, write, be friends, do math, and understand the world around them. These kids that I work with have incredible complexity and depth of character, and many, frankly, have severe behavioral challenges. But the reason I'm kind of talking to all of you and the reason I'm in this fight is because these kids deserve teachers who are with them every day, who understand them and are working day in and day out. Yet because of the pay structure that we're all really under, and that's been allowed to grow, many teachers are leaving the field and vacancies are getting harder and harder to fill. one of the things I like to keep in mind is think about this as if you're a young child. When you turn kindergarten age, society, very suddenly tells you that you're worth public investment, right? You get this free school, hopefully it's a good school, and there's plenty of problems with the school systems, but don't get me started on that. But if you're under kindergarten age, I hope my mom and dad have the money to get me into a good early ed center or a good family childcare center, or that they have the know-how and the luck to get a voucher and to do that, and that the center takes the voucher that I want. Add to this, as a young child, you're going through one of the biggest growth periods of your life, right? 90% of your brain development happens before the age of 5. And your teachers keep changing every few months because they literally can't afford to do the job. This low pay system not only affects the teachers individually, but it also really severely deprives the children of the continuity of care that's so critical for their early development. And frankly, it really has to stop if we want to see a lot of these problems kind of get nipped in the bud. The Common Start legislative framework that we've all worked on and that's been reflected in these bills, would lead to higher educator salaries and expanded professional development opportunities as the new framework is funded over several years. They would create loan forgiveness and scholarship programs for educators to help address the workforce crisis in the early education field. I'm in this fight because the kids that teachers work with every day, including the kids in my class, are the light of our lives. But if the teachers have to move to Rhode Island or leave the industry, as 3 of my colleagues have in as many months, because the rent is too high, or they literally just can't afford to do the job anymore because it's not paying the bills, then they're hurt, their family is hurt, and the kids in their classrooms are the ones that suffer. So I really hope that this bill passes, and I'm in the fight to make it so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jared. I want to now turn it right over to Amparo, who will share a little bit about who she is, her experience here. Thank you so much.
Okay. My name is Amparo Osorio. I live in Lobo. I have been educator for 13 years. I belong to the Clarendon Agency. I am very excited to participate in this rally to be able to share part of my experience with challenges, strengths, and needs. I have dedicated myself to providing a home care service to children of mothers and fathers while they seek sustenance for their home. I work with flexible hours and I provide a comprehensive care, giving balanced nutrition, education, and a love affection to the children in my home. One challenge has been a different language and age difference of my children. It is necessary that you support us to continue providing care and education for children for economical disadvantaged families. We need more education and economical support. Thank you very much. Sorry, my English.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's such an important perspective. And now I will turn this over to Anna. Thank you so much for coming tonight. And we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Hi to everyone. My name is Ana Rivas. I work in daycare and family daycare for 26 years. In a couple of days, have 26 years. And I started working in a daycare because when my first grandchildren come in, I say, okay, I don't know who's take care of my kids and everything. And I'm really scary because I don't know about the care in that country because I live all my life in Puerto Rico. But when I start with my granddaughter, starting at daycare, is something to complete all my life. I have 25 years with my kids. I have a lot of parents, a lot of kids. Sometimes I coming outside and found that kid, bigger kids. I don't remember the kids and coming and give me hug and kisses and say, thank you, grandma, for everything what you're doing with me. And after now, I want to continue to working with the kids. Everybody need that this bill passed because the daycare need more help. The teacher in the school need more help because the school and the daycare coming together in everything. Because the daycare start to prepare the kids for after coming to the school, and it's really hard when you look at the kids who come into the school and look at the lot of problem in the school. We don't have something, don't have paper, don't have a pencil, don't have the teacher to working with the kids because it's too hard working with the really minimum salary right now. Daycare right now working almost the same because if you look at the payment for the daycare is almost like $4 to $5 for kids, and I need to working. Right now, thank you at the helping with give me with the renewal to the C3 is really good for all the daycare, really good, helping so much, but the daycare need more with that. Need more because the daycare is the first base for the kids who come into the school. When the kids coming out to the daycare, the kids go ready for everything. Sometimes I have in my own experience, the teacher called me and say, "Thank you, Anna, for everything what you doing with this kid when coming to start and the kindergarten. The kids coming with all the bases what the kids needed, but the daycare need to more help because sometimes the same money with coming to the daycare, I need to use it for helping the kids, help the daycare, pay rent, pay bills, pay car, pay everything with the same money, and sometimes it's not too much money for continue working. Sometimes the daycare need more extra help to continue giving the really good services. Right now, the daycare have assistant too, and sometimes it's really difficult to pay one assistant with the same money because I needed the assistant, but the money is too short for working with the assistant together in a daycare. Sometimes the hours when I need to give in is too little for that people to help it in a daycare. Daycare need too much something to help the kids for more, and the development in everything of the kids is too hard. It's too hard. It's the same with Jared say about the school with the teacher moving to the another country. It's for the same money because right now the rent here is too high. The bills is too high. All the bills because before like a couple of years ago I pay for water only like 40 something for water. Right now, my bill coming yesterday, 190. 190. I say, wow, what happened? It's the same with the provider don't have any retirement. The only with the retirement with the daycare take it is when you have the age, the social security. That's it. You don't have any extra retirement, and this new assistant, new provider need really good retirement for that people to working too hard. For now, I think so. This is true when I need to say, and I have to approve this money because the state, the teacher, the provider, everybody in Springfield to working with the Commonwealth in Springfield and Massachusetts need the money.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say on behalf of Mass AYC members that this is exactly the message we've been hearing from our members is we really the C3 grants to be continued and dependable funding, that money has not really been used to get providers out of debt that we went into during the shutdown. It's been used to keep operating.
That's
At
good.
the same time as the C3 grants were continued for the first round, that is when prices started going through the roof. And it really is keeping programs alive right now. And so that's something we've been hearing from all of our members. The other part of the list that I just really have to emphasize that our members have been echoing, that I have been hearing from everyone, is how important it is to really value people in family childcare and people in center-based educating centers. We really, really need to see the value and worth of every single educator, because you cannot easily replace them. That knowledge, that experience is invaluable. So doing what we can through legislation, through policy change, has to happen now to save educators for our kids, to keep that knowledge and experience in the system for our children, benefit really of the Commonwealth, because that's what we're talking about when we talk about early childhood education. It really has that broad long-term impact. So thank you so much for that perspective. That is exactly where Massey have been at. And now I want to turn it over to Kavisha. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us tonight.
Hi, how are you? My name is Kavisha Robinson Clark. I'm a former educator. Now I'm a social worker. So I did Jumpstart for 2 years when I was in undergrad at Wheelock. Now it's BU. And what made me become a social worker is honestly working in Jumpstart, working in center-based care, because I was a daycare teacher, infant toddler teacher at the police station in Boston. But something that I saw that was common was just the teachers were burnt out. The trainings that they received were really difficult, and they really didn't receive breaks. And it was also difficult because just seeing their burnout, seeing how the burnout led to like the relationships that they had with children, it was difficult. But I still wanted to work in early childhood ed. I just wanted to do it at a different capacity. So that's why I became a social worker. Because a lot of what I also saw was that the children they needed help on the other side. And sometimes the trainings, teachers were not getting the training to see like how to work with the children and like getting early intervention, getting that stuff before school. When I talked to Ryan this morning, I also said a lot of early childhood educators are moving towards like childhood ed. So in school, because they get breaks, they get vacations. Early childhood ed, you're going all the time. There's no vacations, there's no breaks, there's not even really that many benefits. So at the end of the day, like these teachers in early childhood education are really preparing the children to go to pre-K. And a lot of the times they're not really respecting they should be, because I've learned the way that they communicate with parents, the way that they communicate with the children, they're building the foundation that children get when they start to go to kindergarten, when they start to go to school. And if we didn't have these teachers in early childhood ed, who knows how the children will behave when they go to kindergarten, when they go to school, and they go to that learning environment. So I really believe that having that extra pay, having those trainings are helping not only the teachers, but are also helping the future and helping the children that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you were watching the screen, but I saw a lot of nodding heads going around. That is just so relevant right now, especially for the fight that we're in. We all know this, but this system really needs a fundamental change. And in this fight for decades, frankly, in Massachusetts, And the change that I've seen with after the pandemic is that the Common Start Coalition has really been a place where educators have been brought together with parents, have been brought together with program owners, together with family childcare systems. And it's one of the first times that we've really been able to create that common space for ourselves and behind one. So, Kavisha, I'm hoping that this is the change. This is the change moment. Because everything you're saying, I have seen in the classroom as well. But that being now handing it over to my esteemed colleague and partner, Ryan from Jumpstart. Please take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda, and thank you to all of our wonderful speakers. I now have the impossible task of trying to follow those, wonderful stories. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows that. I'll introduce myself first. Ryan Tellengater. I work in Massachusetts Policy and Government Relations at Jumpstart. Everyone knows that educators are the heart and soul of the early care and education sector. They're, as Jared said, instrumental in the brain development, instrumental in the language and literacy development of kids, instrumental in the social emotional development of kids. They truly are these essential, vital, crucial figures, stable, consistent figures in the lives of our youngest learners. And they should be treated with the respect that that position deserves. So I just wanted to say that I'm so grateful to the four speakers, to all of the current educators who are on this call now and who are watching this recording later, for all that you do to support the development of our youngest learners. We've heard the joys of working in early care and education tonight, and we've heard the challenges. We've heard that educators need better pay and benefits, and we've heard that urgent action is needed now to address the issue. Jared said tonight that the kids that he works with are the light of his life. That's beautiful. And as Anna said, teachers are essential figures in preparing kids for success in kindergarten and beyond. And so we shouldn't tolerate a system where, Jared said educators can't afford to do the job. And Kavisha said teachers get burnt out and have to leave the field. All of this contributes to depriving children of important, caring figures in their lives. Early educators need more money. As Anna said, they need more money to help pay rent, pay food, pay for bills, and sustain themselves. A recent Stanford study found that 1 out of every 4 childcare workers experiences difficulties affording housing. And earlier studies found that nearly 1/3 of childcare workers experience food insecurity. As Anna said, they don't make enough money to have retirement savings. And Kavisha said, they work year round. They don't have the benefits that K through 12 educators have with the summers off. They don't necessarily have access to health insurance. And it's just not right. So I'm here to kind of be the policy nerd and walk us through how this legislation, this comprehensive early education and care legislation, will benefit early educators, will benefit the heart and the soul of the field. That the Common Start Coalition has heard the challenges that early educators face, and that increasing educator compensation and support is a major part of the coalition's agenda. So the coalition envisions an early care and education system that's affordable and accessible for Massachusetts families, that provides stable funding to programs, that compensates educators commensurate with public school peers, and strengthens the Commonwealth's economy. And we're excited that the 2 bills filed this session, Senate Bill 301 under the leadership of Chair Lewis and Senator Moran, and House Bill 489 under the leadership of Representative Modero and Representative Gordon, would advance that Common Start vision and provide the framework necessary to deliver affordable care options for families, deliver significantly better pay and benefits for educators, deliver a new stable source of funding for providers, high quality programs and services for children, and substantial relief for businesses in our economy. So thank you to Senator Lewis, Senator Moran, Representative Mato, and Representative Gordon for your leadership. And thank you to the over 80 representatives and over 20 senators who have co-sponsored the bill already. I want to quickly, or before I outline the specific provisions, I also want to shout out, I saw Rep. Farley Bouvier in the audience, and I saw Rep. Senna here. So thank you for your support for attending, for your care for the educators in the Commonwealth, and for your support on Beacon Hill. That means a lot. So now I want to quickly outline the specific provisions in the bill that would benefit early educators. As Jared said, low pay is causing educators to leave the field and making it hard for programs to fill openings because they simply can't afford to do the job. This bill, the two bills, will compensate early education and care provider staff through increased salaries, benefits, bonuses, professional development, and/or access to continuing education opportunities. This will be facilitated by the creation of a career ladder that includes minimum recommended salaries and compensation commensurate with the salaries of public school teachers with equivalent credentials and training, as well as minimum recommended benefits and more. The bills codify a scholarship program for early educators, which will provide funds that can be used to cover the cost of tuition, fees, and related expenses, including supports unique to the diverse learning needs of the field, such as personal childcare expenses. The scholarship money at a minimum will be sufficient to cover the full cost of tuition and associated fees for one semester of classes at a Massachusetts community college. And the bills also include an early educator loan forgiveness program. And notably, preference will be given to folks working in communities predominantly serving children and families with high needs. So those are kind of the specifics of the provisions. We're gonna soon open it up for Q&A, for discussion. Happy to answer any questions about the bill, either now or offline. I will include my email at the end of this. But I just wanna end kind of my portion before opening it up by saying that the Common Start Coalition really is working hard to raise support for the bills on Beacon Hill, and is confident the legislation will be taken up this session. We've seen, enormous support, a majority in both chambers, both the House and the Senate. We have a majority of the folks co-sponsoring the bills. And we've seen just this excitement. We had a Common Start lobby day about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and the offices were full, the hallways were bustling. There's a lot of, a big tent of folks from across multiple sectors wanting to support the bill because they know, among other things, that early educators need higher pay, need better benefits. The scholarship program loan forgiveness will be extremely influential and impactful. We know that there's staffing shortages across the state, across the country. And as Jared said, it's hard to fill those positions when you don't pay them a living wage. We know that the field's in crisis, and we want to pass this bill and pass this bill early to get programs, educators, and families the relief that they need and deserve. With that being said, thank you for joining us and listening to this speaking portion. And now I will open up the floor to questions. I think James has been monitoring the chat. Are there any questions for our panelists, James?
No questions for the panelists in the chat. However, lots of thank yous going around.
Yes, amazing thank yous time and time again to our panelists and to everyone attending. I can ask a question to our 4 speakers while folks. Oh, I see Suzanne Stillinger's here, an absolute champion. She spoke at the last Early Educator Roundtable. Yeah, so I'll give folks a second if they want to ask questions, but maybe I can start it off by saying, are there any other challenges that folks want to share that they have experienced that they didn't maybe mention in their speaking portion that they want to touch on, or any other things that they think it's important for the viewing audience to hear?
I'll go, if you don't mind, Ryan.
No, go ahead.
So hi, everyone. So one of the things that I think that's really important to focus on now is that, like Amanda was saying, we have been making good strides on a lot of budget related issues, and it is really good that the governor and the legislative leadership are kind of pushing these things with the C3 grants, which, if you're unfamiliar, stands for Commonwealth Cares for Children, and that a lot of providers are using for pay, and a whole bunch of other things. And that is good, right? I'm not objectively, that is absolutely good. This bill still needs to pass, right? This is this is the beginning part of a good process, but the underlying long-term aspects still need to happen. And what we're seeing with the C3 grants is a lot of providers are using them for temporary bonuses for their staff. So instead of getting a raise, you might be getting like $200 a quarter or something like that, because they can't promise that the money's always going to be there. So the money's there now, so they're trying to give it out and keep their staff, yada, yada, or they're doing sign-on bonuses are really popular right now, things of that nature. But long-term, like actual salary raises aren't happening as much in a lot of places, because the underlying funding is not reliable. Just to clarify.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there were, to touch on what you said, Jared, there have been historic appropriations in the FY23 budget from the legislature, and that is, you know, incredibly appreciated. But as you said, when it's only a funding guaranteed for a year, there is that worry that there is a cliff, that, well, what will happen if you raise salaries and then the operational grants don't come again? So that's definitely a great point. And kind of one of the main reasons why bedrock funding, operational grants, is a key provision in the Common Start bill. I didn't mention it because it's not necessarily specific to early educators, but we've seen that these C3 grants are essential vehicles to raising educator compensation. So we anticipate that the bedrock funding will again be kind of this consistent source of money that programs can rely on, that will be a source that can be used for continued and sustained higher salaries. So that's a great point. I got a question about affordability for parents. And just want to say that the bills also do that. Definitely a big part of the vision is making sure that you know, childcare and early education is accessible and affordable to you know, so many families in Massachusetts. We priority given to the lowest income, highest need populations, but the vision really is to expand the financial assistance to many, many more families. And we know that, you know, with the low wages that early educators receive, many of them would qualify. We've seen in the pilot program that the Department of Early Education and Care created, which expanded eligibility for early educators up to, they increased the percent of the state median income essentially to make sure that more early educators could get care for their kids. And we've seen that program has been incredibly successful and an impactful recruitment and retention strategy. So definitely affordability, supporting educators. So, you know, we're not relying on parents to foot the bill. Yeah, and I see, Anna, that you unmuted. Did you want to also touch on that question?
Yes, because that's when I say is I hope that bill pass, because I don't want to believe that the government waiting for another pandemic or something like that to say, oh, the educators is essential people, but when the educator needed the government, where is the government? The educator needed right now help. The teacher needed right now help. No waiting for another pandemic or another problem coming around to Massachusetts and need to close everything, and the daycare is the only we need to stay open, because I need to stay open all this year And I remember the parent to coming sometime and calling me and say, Anna, I can't pick up my kids today because I had COVID. And I need to take care of this kid here. The kids sleep here for 2-3 days after the parent is better. It's really hard to do that. Right now, the teacher need that. Right now, the daycare, the provider need that.
Yeah, definitely. The need is now. It is urgent, and yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And we are definitely working to get that bill passed as quick as possible. Deborah, I see that you have your hands up.
Hi, I was wondering if the providers can actually talk to parents that use their services to promote this bill, to say, contact your legislators and get this bill passed. Because it seems like we need a groundswell of grassroots support for the bill. The more people that contact their legislators and put the word out that they want this to pass now, the better chance we'll have. And I've asked parents in my neighborhood if they've heard of the bill, and many of them have never heard of it. And they're using childcare. So I was wondering if there's a way that the childcare providers can give the message to the parents and say, you need to help us get this bill passed. And we can create more of a groundswell of support.
Absolutely.
If it's okay, can I jump in on that one? So yes, I just want to say an enthusiastic yes, that the groundswell of support is absolutely one of the aims of the Common Start Coalition. And I think that is where this coalition has been able to really take up some much needed space. A lot of times in program, it really varies based on the program, what type of relationship you have with families, about whether there's room to enter into that type of conversation. Because at that point of service, really, the primary action that's about the child's day. And really, because of COVID and because of COVID restrictions, really what we've seen is at a center-based program, sometimes parents are dropping off at the door if programs are still following the heightened restriction. And then the child is escorted into the building separately after doing a health and safety check. So the opportunities for that type of conversation are pretty limited in a program space based on the individual setting. So that's really where we've seen things like the Common Start Coalition chapters or events really take up some much needed space, providing that opportunity. Events like tonight, we're here in the Zoom, this recording will go onwards and be shareable for parents to have some of that context being able to be sent out. But that is really why I think it's been so necessary to have this online virtual community really be created, because it's given us the time and space to have that type of conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to turn it over to Vanessa after one more question. And Vanessa is the head of the Common Start chapter that's focused on early educators. So she can talk a little bit more about how y'all can get involved. And as James highlighted in the chat, we had a parents roundtable a few weeks ago, and that also will have been recorded. But Suzanne had an amazing question that I think would be a great one to kind of end on. Suzanne said, I'd love to hear a little from these dedicated teachers about what keeps them in this work despite all the challenges, and how a living wage would affect their work and life? It's a great question. And maybe we can go in reverse order. So Kavisha, Anna, Amparo, and then Jared.
Definitely. So I love being an educator. I still feel like I am an educator because just knowing that you're frontline with working with youth at their earliest age, it really like fed my soul. I think that a living wage would affect it. Like if teachers were paid more, if early ed would pay more, like honestly, I was the happiest when I was in that childcare setting. I would definitely go back to working as a teacher because I just love the energy of working with like infants and toddlers and seeing that early stage development.
Thank you. Anna?
For me, I don't know. I working in that place for 25, 26 years right now, and I say everything when I can do for my kids, I do it. I working with Clarendon Family Daycare, and I receive really good assessment and everything when I need it. But sometimes when I working with the parent feel some is many things with the parent need to do it working around, and sometimes it's really hard to find the voucher and everything else, and it's really hard. But my parent help me in everything when I need. And say to my parent, I need tomorrow go to the daycare to the front to the municipality and say something. The parent go with me everywhere when I need it. Every time when asking for something, my parent help me. The company help me in everything.
Thank you. Amparo, do you want to?
My English is a little bit, but I have a good experience with my agency, Clarendon, too. All time support me in my work, and the parents too. The parents help me all time, but they need too much help about you. Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you. Jared, do you want to take us home?
Yeah. So well, let me just put it like point blank. My pay right now barely pays my bills, right? If it wasn't for my wife's income, I literally could not do this job because I absolutely would have to get another role. And I know a whole bunch of people in the industry whose spouses also kind of basically help subsidize their career and what they want to do. So one, it's just pure simply like being able to afford to live in Massachusetts. And it really ultimately comes down to money at the end of the day, where we the staff, the businesses, everything need the funds. But also, if you are a teacher, a teacher to teacher, highly encourage you to go and tell your boss directly that you need a pay raise. I just got one. I was very annoying about it, but it's there's also some rooms for self-advocacy within the field too.
Great. Thank you all for those answers, and Suzanne for that question. I'm going to transition us into closing, but I see Patricia has a question. What is the time frame for passing this bill? So the legislature has 2-year sessions. This current one started in January and it'll run, I think, until July or so of 2024. So we have about 2 years to pass it, but I think we ideally want to pass it as soon as possible because we know how important and impactful it will be. Yes, that's my answer. So now I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa, who, as I mentioned earlier, is the coordinator of our Early Educators chapter of the Coalition. to just give a quick overview of what the chapter does, and how you can join. Are you there, Vanessa? Okay, I will see if she joins the next few minutes, but I will just keep moving on, and you will get more information in the follow-up email. I think James can drop the link for how to join, but she could say it better than me. But the chapters really work to create a community of folks who can advocate together to get shared information and collective action. And you can sign up online to join and work to organize in support of the bills. With that, I think James will now drop some links in the chat that you should open in case you're interested, but we will also include them in a follow-up email. You will see some fact sheets, which will give you some quick information about the bills, as well as links to their pages on the Massachusetts legislature website, where you can read the full text of the bill. You can see who co-sponsored it. And we really, really urge you to reach out to your legislator. If they have already co-sponsored them, thank them for it. And ask them to tell leadership how important it is to them. And if they have not, ask them to co-sponsor. We know that it is meaningful to see the amount of people that have already co-sponsored the bill, and we only want more. We want this movement to take over Beacon Hill and get us an early hearing on the bill. Another way you can get involved is you can work with James to submit written testimony. We know that the next step in the process is to have a hearing with the Education Committee, where the bills currently sit. There will be, an oral testimony portion where, to the Education Committee, folks will testify on the importance of the bill, the impact, but we also know that legislators love to see written testimony as well, because the hearings can't last all day, and we want to respect the legislators' time and know that they have to get to a quick vote on the bills. So written testimony is also incredibly impactful, and we will work with you to help you craft your message and submit it to your legislators. So that is another way to get involved. James dropped his email. As we wrap up, I want to say I saw Margaret's comment in the chat that, I see Vanessa unmuted. Are you there?
Yes, I finally couldn't unmute. I'm like, wait, it's not working. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? I see James put my information in the chat, and I thank you very much. But want everybody to just get involved, ways to get involved, connect with us, get information, whatever it is that we're looking for. If someone is looking to provide us with some stories, I'd be greatly appreciated.
Awesome. Thank you. And with that, we will let everyone get on in your night. Thank you for attending. Thank you to all our amazing panelists, to all the educators on the call, to all the advocates. Early educators are so essential to the development of children, to the future of Massachusetts, to the feelings of love that kids experience and learning. And we are so grateful for the frontline workers and all that you do to support our kiddos. And thank you for your time. Please support the bills.